Mino leaves the house. It's already dark and cold outside. He's carrying a large bag of trash. He's in a hurry. He wants to get back to the warm room. He throws the bag into the dumpster. The sound resounds loudly in the silence. Mino turns to go back. Suddenly, he hears a strange sound. He stops. It's a quiet cry. The sound is coming from the house next door. That house has been empty for a long time. No one lives there. But now he can definitely hear crying coming from a second-floor window. A child's cry. It's weak and pitiful. Mino looks at the dark windows. He doesn't like other people's problems. His life is built on simple rules. One of those rules is to not meddle where you're not wanted. He stands and listens. The crying doesn't stop. Mino sighs. He can't just leave. He takes a step toward the fence. He comes closer. His yard is clean. The neighboring yard is neglected. The grass is tall and dry. And then he sees. The gate is open. It's just wide open. Mino frowned. This is strange. He peers further. The front door to the house itself is also open. It's slightly ajar, and cold comes from the dark opening. No one is visible. Only silence and this soft crying from above. Mino hesitates for a second. Entering someone else's open house is a bad idea. But the thought of someone crying up there in the darkness doesn't let him go. He pushes the gate aside. It creaks. He walks slowly along the overgrown path toward the open door. His breath turns into a white cloud in the cold air. He stops at the threshold. "Hey!" Mino says quietly into the darkness of the house. "Who's there?" There's no answer. Only a faint echo and the same quiet crying from above. Mino clenches his teeth. He steps over the threshold. It's even colder inside the house than outside. The air is still and icy. Mino blinks, trying to adjust to the darkness. He stands in the hallway. The floor beneath his feet is dusty. A distorted mirror hangs opposite, flickering with his own dark reflection. No coat on the hanger. No shoes by the door. Complete emptiness. He takes a step forward. A floorboard creaks. The crying from above subsides for a second, as if listening. Then it resumes, quiet even. Mino slowly walks into the living room. The moonlight from the window illuminates the empty room. No furniture, no curtains, no carpet. Only dusty floors and shadows in the corners. A lone crumpled handkerchief lies on the mantelpiece. Nothing else. It feels as if everything was hastily cleared out of the house long ago, or as if it had never been lived in. The stairs to the second floor are at the back of the hallway. Mino approaches them. The wooden steps are old. He carefully places his foot on the first one. A loud creak is heard. He freezes. The crying from above continues. Mino begins to slowly climb. Each step complains loudly under his weight. He feels alien and too big in this emptiness. His own breathing seems loud to him. He reaches the second-floor landing. It's darker here. A long corridor leads deeper into the house. The doors to the rooms are open. Crying can be heard from the last room on the right. Mino walks down the corridor, peering into the doorways. All the rooms are just as empty. In one lies a broken coat hanger. In another, an empty water bottle. And that's it. He approaches the last door. It is slightly open. Mino carefully pushes it. The door opens silently. The room is empty. And in the center of this emptiness stands an old wooden crib. It seems forgotten and alien. Two children lie in the crib. They are wrapped in a single thin summer blanket with faded patterns. The blanket is too small to cover them both. Mino sees only dark hair and large eyes looking in his direction. The children lie huddled together, motionless. Mino doesn't move from the threshold. He examines the children. They are two boys. Both are black. They look alike, probably brothers. One looks about 4 years old. The other seems the same age. Their faces seem very serious in the semi-darkness. Their wide eyes follow his every movement. There are no tears in them now, only quiet horror and question. They don't cry at the sight of him. They simply watch. Their breath forms a light mist in the cold air of the room. One of the boys, the one closest to the wall, presses even closer to his brother. The other one doesn't blink. In his gaze, Mino reads not childish fear, but something deeper. Weariness. The acceptance of something bad. The boy's hands are clenched into tiny fists on top of the blanket. Mino realizes he's been standing silently for too long. He tries to soften his expression. His voice, when he finally speaks, is unusually quiet and raspy from unfamiliarity. "Hey," he says. "Why are you alone?" The children are silent. Only their eyes grow even larger. "Where is your mother?" Mino asks, choosing his words. "Dad?" Silence. The younger boy, the one by the wall, moves his lips, but makes no sound. The older one, the one looking straight ahead, slowly, almost imperceptibly, shakes his head from side to side. He doesn't know or won't say. Mino looks at them. He doesn't know what to do next. Ask their names? He feels helpless. These children don't seem to expect anything from him either. They're just waiting to see what happens. Mino steps back from the doorway. The children follow him with their eyes. He decides to check the rest of the floor. Maybe he missed something. He takes hold of the handle and pulls it toward himself. The refrigerator is on. A dim light glows inside. The shelves are completely empty and washed. Not a crumb, not a drop, only cold plastic and light. Mino closes the door. The click echoes through the empty house. He stands in the middle of the kitchen, looking out the window at his own warm, lit house across the yard. There's food, warmth, order. And here, in this ice chest upstairs, two small children lie under one blanket in an empty room. No food, no water, no toys, no trace of adults. They were simply abandoned here. Mino slowly climbs back up to the second floor. He stops in the hallway, not entering the children's room. He hears their quiet snoring. The options are clearly and distinctly lined up in his head. The first option, leave, now. Leave this house, go back to your own place, close the door. Then call the police or child protection services. Report the children. Specialists will come and sort it out. This is the right, legal, and easiest way. He won't be tied to anything. He has his own life, his own affairs, which don't tolerate this kind of complication. The children will become the authorities' problem, not his problem. Option 2. Take a step forward. What does this mean? He can't even articulate it clearly. Take them with him? Now? For one night? And then what? He doesn't know how to treat children. He has nothing for them. No beds, no food that is suitable for them. He doesn't even know how to talk to them. He thinks of their wide, frightened eyes, of how they silently shook their heads when asked about their parents, of the empty refrigerator, of how they lay in the dark and cold, perhaps waiting for the door to open, but afraid it would. If he leaves and calls, strangers will arrive. For these children, he's already a frightening stranger. More strangers will show up, ask questions, and take them to an unfamiliar place. Their fear will only grow. Mino looks at the door to the room. He feels a heaviness in his chest. This isn't his responsibility. He doesn't owe anyone anything. His mind tells him to turn around and leave, but his legs don't move. He remembers the empty cookie box upstairs, and the frying pan, unused. They were left there deliberately, with calculation, and it makes his blood run colder than the frosty air in the house. He can't leave them here. He can't just walk away and make a call, handing them over to a system he doesn't think highly of. Not now. Not in this state. Mino takes a deep breath. His breath is a white cloud in the darkness of the hallway. He makes a decision. It's rash, foolish, and goes against all his inner rules. But he makes it. He turns and enters the room. The children freeze again, looking at him. Mino approaches the crib and stops next to it. He slowly, so as not to startle them, reaches out and touches the blanket. It's thin and cold. "Are you cold?" he asks quietly. The older boy, after a long pause, nods slightly. Mino looks at them. Then he says simple words that change everything. "Okay, let's go to my place. We can't stay here any longer." Mino realizes he can't take both boys at once. They're cold and scared. He says to the older one, who's looking straight ahead, "Wait, I'll be right back." He quickly runs downstairs and across the yard to his house. His home now seems so distant and alien. He runs inside and grabs the first large, thick blanket he finds from the sofa. It's soft and gray. Then Mino looks around. He picks up a large box of cookies from the shelf, the one he'd once been given, and a bottle of water. He gathers it all up in his arms and returns to the cold house. The children in the crib haven't moved. They watch him climb the stairs. Mino comes over and spreads a blanket right on top of their thin blanket. "Here," he says, handing the bottle of water to the older boy. The boy looks at the bottle, then slowly takes it in his small hands. He doesn't open it. The younger one cuddles close to him. Mino realizes he must act. Only their eyes wide open watch his face. Mino carries the quiet bundle up the creaking stairs, through the empty hallway, and out into the cold courtyard. He walks toward his house. The light from his windows now seems not just light, but salvation. He kicks open his door, steps inside, and finally places the children, still wrapped in a blanket, on the hallway floor. The warm air of the house envelops them. Mino leads them into the kitchen. He seats the boys at the table. They sit, wrapped in a blanket, and look around. Their eyes dart over the clean cabinets, the appliances, The curtained window. Mino paces the kitchen. He doesn't know what to cook for the children. His food is simple. He heats up the chicken soup he had from lunch. He slices bread. He sets 2 plates, 2 spoons, and 2 cups of warm, sweet tea on the table. He does everything silently, focused. Then he places bowls of soup in front of the children. "Eat," he says simply. At first, they don't move. Then the older one carefully frees his hand from the blanket. He slowly takes the spoon. He looks at the soup. The younger one imitates his movements. They begin to eat, first slowly, then faster. They eat greedily, but quietly. They don't slurp or drop anything. They simply move their spoons quickly. They eat soup, bread, and drink tea. Their eyes are lowered to their plates. Mino sits across from them and watches them. He doesn't eat. He just watches. His mind is empty. He watches their cheeks gradually turn pink from the warmth. He watches their little fingers grip their spoons tightly. They finish every last crumb. When the plates are empty, they just sit and stare straight ahead. No one says thank you. No one says anything. Mino asks. The elder, after a pause, nods. The younger one looks at his brother and nods too. Mino takes the plates. "You need to sleep," he says. He leads them out of the kitchen. He decides to put them to bed in his bedroom, on the big bed. It's warmer and safer there. He lays them on the bed. They're still in their old clothes, wrapped in his blanket. Mino covers them with another blanket. "Sleep," he says. He turns off the overhead light, leaving only a small nightlight in the corner. He leaves, closing the door. He stands in the hallway and listens. Silence. He goes into the kitchen, sits at the table, and rests his head in his hands. 10 minutes pass. 20. All is quiet. Then a scream is heard. Short, sharp, full of horror. Not a cry, but a scream. Mino jumps up and runs into the bedroom. He throws the door open. On the bed, the younger boy thrashes in silent terror. He's no longer screaming. He seems choked by sobs that can't escape the sound of his voice. His eyes are wide open, but he can't see anything. He's pounding the blanket with his hands, his body tense. The older boy sits next to him, terrified. He tries to shake his shoulder, but the older boy doesn't respond. Mino freezes in the doorway. He's never seen anything like it. He doesn't know what to do. His first thought is cold water, a slap, something sharp to bring him back to his senses. But he realizes it's a child, and he's not himself. Mino approaches the bed. He sits on the edge. "Hey," he says firmly, but not loudly. The boy doesn't hear. He's trembling. Mino carefully places his hand on his forehead. It's hot. The boy flinches at the touch, but doesn't wake up. This is a nightmare. Mino pulls his hand away. He's at a loss. He looks at the older man. He looks at him, and in his eyes, Mino sees the same silent question. What should I do? And then Mino acts instinctively. He doesn't think. He lies down on the bed next to the boy, on the outside. He carefully, slowly, turns him toward himself. The boy resists, his body tense. Mino simply hugs him, not tightly, but securely. He presses his back against his chest so the boy feels he's not alone. He places his large palm on his head and begins, very quietly and slowly, to stroke his hair. He doesn't say any soothing words. He doesn't know any. He simply lies there, stroking his head. A minute, then another. Gradually, the tension begins to ease from the little body. The trembling becomes less frequent. The sobs turn into intermittent whimpers, then into quiet sobs. His breathing evens out. The boy falls asleep again, but this time his sleep is peaceful. His hand unclenches. Mino continues to lie motionless. He stares at the ceiling. He feels the warmth of a small body against his chest and the gentle movement of his breath. The older boy, seeing that it's over, slowly lies back down and closes his eyes. Mino lies there. He dares not move, lest he wake them again. He listens to their breathing. He realizes that his hand, which had just held the pistol during the day, is now stroking the head of a sleeping child. And this child has stopped trembling. Mino closes his eyes. For the first time in this endless evening, silence descends on his mind. He doesn't think about tomorrow. He simply lies and listens to 2 strange boys sleeping in his bed. And that's enough for now. Early morning light filters through the curtains. Mino wakes up. He's still lying on the edge of the bed. His arm is numb. He carefully removes it. Both boys are asleep. The older one is curled up on the other side of the bed. Mino slowly stands up. His body aches from the unfamiliar position. He looks at the sleeping children. Now in the daylight, he sees them better. Their clothes are old and worn. Their faces are calm. They look like ordinary children. He leaves the room and makes breakfast. Simple scrambled eggs and toast. He pours juice. Then he returns to the bedroom. The children are already awake. They sit on the bed, silent. When they see him, they freeze. "Breakfast is ready," says Mino. They get out of bed and follow him into the kitchen. They sit at the table. They eat in silence again, but not as greedily as yesterday. They carefully cut toast with a fork. They drink juice. Mino sits down opposite him. He's drinking coffee. He knows they need to talk, but he doesn't know how to start. He's a man of action, not talk. "Yesterday." He's silent for a long moment. Then he shakes his head. "I don't know," or he doesn't want to say. Mino feels like he's trapped. He wants to ask about his parents, about what happened, but the sight of their lowered heads stops him. They're not ready to talk. They're still afraid. The children stand in the bathroom, watching everything with cautious curiosity. Then they go into the living room. Mino turns on the TV. He finds a cartoon channel. He sits the children down on the sofa. They sit, but don't relax. They sit up straight, hands on their knees. They stare at the screen, but their faces show that their minds are elsewhere. Mino sits down in the chair next to them. He looks at them. "My name is Mino," he says. The children look at him. This is the first time he introduces himself. "And what are your names?" He looks at the older boy. He is silent. Mino waits. A minute passes. The older boy whispers something, looking at the floor. "What?" Mino asks quietly. The boy looks up. His voice is a little louder, but still uncertain. "Kai?" Mino nods. "Kai. Okay." He looks at the younger boy. "And you?" The younger boy looks at his brother. Kai looks at him and nods almost imperceptibly. "Leo?" the younger boy says. His voice is quiet and husky. "Kai and Leo," Mino repeats. He tries the names out. They sound normal. Normal. "Nice to meet you." The children don't answer, but now they have names. They are no longer just kids. They are Kai and Leo. Mino leaves the children to watch cartoons. He goes into his office and closes the door. He needs to take care of practical matters. The children have nothing. No clothes, no toys, nothing of their own. He picks up the phone, dials a number. The call answers on the second ring. "Boss," says the voice on the other end. The voice is calm and neutral. It's Yoon, his most trusted person. "Yoon, I need something," says Mino. His voice is businesslike. "I'm listening. I need to buy baby clothes for 2 boys, 4 years old. Everything. Everyday clothes, warm clothes, shoes, pajamas, underwear, size, I don't know. Average for 4 years." There's a pause on the other end, the briefest of pauses. But Yoon doesn't ask any questions. "Okay, what else?" "Toys. Simple ones. Cars, construction sets, something like that. Picture books. 2 small beds, bedding, a children's table and chairs. Do you need to assemble the furniture?" "Yes. And deliver it. Today. The sooner the better." "Address?" Yoon asks. He means where to take it. "Here. To my place," Mino says firmly. This time the pause is longer. But Yoon simply says, "Got it. It will be done." "And Yoon," Mino lowers his voice. "No questions. Don't tell anyone. Buy at the big stores, cash if possible. No trace." "Got it, boss. I'll call you when I get there." Mino hangs up. He breathes a sigh of relief. It's easy with Yoon. He won't let you down. Mino returns to the living room. Kai and Leo are still sitting on the couch. The cartoon has ended. Now some other show is on. They aren't watching it. They just sit and wait. One day, the doorbell rings. It's Yoon. He's standing on the threshold. Behind him, 2 men are visible, unloading flat boxes of furniture and numerous shopping bags from a car. Yoon is a man in his 30s, with an impassive face. His eyes briefly glance at the living room, where 2 children are visible. Not a hint of surprise. He simply nods to Mino. "Everything you asked for. The furniture is in the boxes. It can be assembled in an hour. The rest is here." "Good. Bring everything to the guest room on the 2nd floor," says Mino. Yoon gives quiet orders to his men. They begin carrying the boxes and bags upstairs. There is little noise. Everything is done quickly and efficiently. Mino leads Kai and Leo upstairs to his bedroom. "Sit here for a while," he says. The children obediently sit on the bed. Mino comes out and helps unpack. The guest room is spacious and empty. Yoon and his men open the boxes. They take out the parts of 2 children's beds. They begin to assemble. Mino doesn't know how to do this. He stands and watches. Yoon silently takes the screwdriver and shows him how to hold the bar. Mino repeats. The work proceeds. An hour later, 2 white wooden beds stand in the room. Mattresses and bed linens are already laid out on them. One blue with ships, the other green with dinosaurs. A small table and 2 chairs are assembled against the wall. All the remaining bags are stacked in a neat pile in the corner. Yoon wipes his hands. Everything is packed. The bags contain clothes, shoes, toys, all the basics. Thank you, Yoon, says Mino. Boss? Yoon hesitates a little, which is unusual for him. Do you need anything else? Food, special food, maybe a nanny? No, not yet. Just continue with the current affairs. Did you ship the documents? Yes. Everything is according to plan. Okay, I'll be in touch. Mino walks Yoon to the exit. They no longer talk about the children. Mino returns to the bedroom. Kai and Leo are still sitting there. Come on, I'll show you your room, says Mino. He leads them down the hallway to the guest room. He opens the door. Kai and Leo stop in the threshold. Their eyes widen. They see 2 neat beds, a small table, and a lot of bags in the corner. This is your room now, Mino says. He goes over to the bags. And here are your things. We should see what's in there. He starts opening the bags. He takes out piles of clothes and places them on the bed. Jeans, t-shirts, warm sweaters, socks. Everything is new in simple colors. Then he opens the bag of pajamas. He takes out 2 pajamas. One is blue with a small red and white checkered pattern. The other is light-colored with pictures of cars. The cars are different. A fire truck, a police car, a racing car. He lays the pajamas on the bed. Here, for sleeping. Leo, the youngest, slowly approaches the bed with the car pajamas. He looks at the picture. He reaches out and carefully touches the fire truck with his finger. Then he looks up at Mino. His serious face suddenly changes. The corners of his lips twitch. Then they turn up. Dimples appear on his cheeks. He smiles. It's a small, hesitant, but real smile. He looks at the pajamas again, and the smile widens a little. He likes cars. Mino freezes. And the stern features of his age soften on Kai's face too. He doesn't smile, but his gaze becomes calmer. He walks over to his plaid pajamas and picks them up. They're soft. You can take the one with the cars if you want, Mino says quietly to Leo. They just lay in their new cribs, eyes open. It's evening now. Mino is making dinner. Simple noodles. He hears the television clicking softly in the living room. His phone is on the table. He's missed 5 calls, 3 from subordinates, 2 from partners. He only called back Yoon, saying he was busy with family matters. It sounded so awkward that even Mino found it odd. He didn't go to the gym. He didn't check his evening reports. His apartment, always spotlessly clean, looks different now. There's a blanket on the couch. There are 3 cups in the sink instead of 1. 2 new pairs of tiny sneakers sit on the hallway floor. Mino stirs his noodles. He feels a slight panic. His life is about control. Control over things, over people, over the environment. And now he's lost that control. These 2 quiet little boys, with their simple needs, to eat, to sleep, to be safe, have completely destroyed the wall of his familiar world. He can't keep up with anything. He's always one step behind. The children are eating dinner. They're already eating more slowly, more carefully. Then Mino helps them wash up. He bought baby shampoo, and now the bathroom smells of sweet berries. He dries them with new towels and helps them put on new pajamas. Leo, of course, is wearing his car pajamas. He puts them to bed in their new beds. He reads them a short story from a new book. His voice sounds unfamiliar and monotonous. The children listen without interrupting. Then he turns off the lights, leaving only a nightlight. Good night, says Mino. Good night, Leo replies quietly, almost in a whisper. Kai remains silent. Mino leaves, closing the door. He goes to his office, sits in a chair. Silence. For the first time all day, he is alone. Thoughts roll in like an avalanche. He can't go on like this. He's not a nanny. He's not a father. He has other responsibilities. The children can't live in his world. It's wrong. They need a normal childhood, a normal family, or, at worst, a good shelter where professionals will care for them. They need doctors, psychologists, other children, everything he can't provide. Mino picks up his phone. He searches online. Emergency care, children's shelter. He finds the number for a 24-hour service. The numbers on the screen seem so simple. He just needs to dial, explain the situation, say he's found abandoned children. He doesn't need to mention his name. They'll come and pick up Kai and Leo, and everything will go back to normal. His silence, his order, his lonely but understandable life. His finger hovers over the screen. He imagines strangers arriving, entering this house, asking questions, taking Kai and Leo away. The boys will look at him with their big, frightened eyes. They will be afraid again. They were just starting to get used to this room, to these beds. He remembers Leo's smile. He remembers Kai nodding silently when asked if he was full. He remembers them both shivering in the cold, empty house. Mino puts his phone down. Not now. Tomorrow. He'll definitely call tomorrow morning. When he's thinking clearly, he can't make that decision at night. When everything seems scarier, he exhales and picks up his phone again. But he doesn't call child protection. He texts Yoon, "Find a good private pediatrician, discreet, to come to your house, tomorrow. First, we need to make sure they're physically okay. Then we'll see." That's what he tells himself. The doctor's name is Dr. Kim. She's an elderly woman with a calm face. Yoon brought her in the next morning. Dr. Kim doesn't ask any unnecessary questions. She simply looks at Mino, then at the children, and nods. The examination takes place in the guest room. Mino waits outside the door. He hears the doctor's quiet voice. She speaks softly, but confidently. He doesn't hear the children's responses. Half an hour later, Dr. Kim comes out. Physically, they're relatively fine, she tells Mino quietly. Malnutrition, mild dehydration, which you've already treated. There are no bruises, no signs of violence. But, she pauses briefly, they're in a state of severe psychological shock. They barely speak. It's a reaction to severe stress. They're frozen inside. The younger boy, Leo, he might have panic attacks, night terrors. The older one, Kai, has taken on too much responsibility for his age. He controls everything, watches over everything. It's his way of protecting himself. What should I do? Mino asks. The question blurts out. Patience, routine, safety. They need to feel safe here, that they won't be abandoned again. Talk to them, even if they don't respond. Explain what's happening. Give them simple tasks. They need time. Lots of time. They need peace. She looks at him carefully. Are you planning on going to the authorities? Mino slowly shakes his head. I haven't decided yet. Understand, they'll only get basic care in the system. Such profound trauma needs more than just walls and food, but stability and a single person to hold on to. Right now, whether you like it or not, that person is you. If you give them up, it will be another betrayal, another loss. Their condition could worsen. She hands him her business card. If it's urgent, call. I'll be in touch. He is trapped. One day, Mino brings a large box of construction sets into the living room. He pours the pieces onto the carpet. The colorful plastic blocks crumble with a soft thud. You can build, he tells Kai and Leo. They come over and sit on the carpet opposite each other. At first, they just look at the pieces. Then Kai picks up a few green blocks and starts connecting them. Leo looks at him, then picks up some blue blocks and does the same. Mino sits down in a chair nearby. He pretends to read documents on his tablet, but he's watching them. They're building. Kai is building something tall and straight, like a tower. Leo is building something short and long, perhaps a garage for his cars. They work in silence. They don't argue over the pieces. They don't laugh. Sometimes Leo reaches out and takes a piece from the pile next to Kai. Kai silently moves the pile a little closer to his brother. The only sounds are the clicking of plastic. Click, click, click. They are completely absorbed in the process. Their faces are focused. They are not playing together, they are playing side by side. But there is something incredibly peaceful in this quiet, shared activity. An hour passes. Kai's tower has grown very high. Leo's garage has acquired a roof. Leo takes a small toy car from another set and carefully rolls it into the garage. Mino puts down his tablet. He looks at them. Two boys sitting in the afternoon sun, building their world out of plastic in complete silence. There is no fun in it, but there is peace. Dr. Kim talked about routine, about safety. Perhaps this is the beginning of it. A simple, quiet action, repeated over and over. Click, click, click. Mino gets up to make an afternoon snack. He passes them and stops. Nice tower, he quietly says to Kai. Kai looks up at him for a second, then looks back at the structure. He does not smile, but nods slightly. And the garage is great, Mino says to Leo. Leo looks at his build, then at Mino. He doesn't say thank you, he just looks. But there's no longer the same fear in his gaze. There's just a quiet recognition. He turns back to his cars. Mino goes into the kitchen. His mind is no longer filled with thoughts of calling the guardians. There's only the thought of what kind of sandwiches they like, and that tomorrow he needs to buy another construction set. A bigger one. A few days later, the doorbell rings. Mino peers through the peephole. Standing on the threshold is Taehyung, one of his subordinates. Taehyung holds a folder of documents. His face is focused and businesslike. Mino opens the door. He stands in the doorway, not inviting anyone in. Boss, I need to sign some urgent delivery papers, Taehyung says, handing over a folder. At that moment, Leo runs out of the living room, carrying a small red car. He stops when he sees the stranger in the doorway. His expression turns fearful. He quickly turns around and runs back. Taehyung freezes. His gaze slid after the fleeing boy, then returned to Mino. Surprise appeared on his usually impassive face. Pure, genuine surprise. He was silent for a few seconds, processing what he had just seen. Boss, do you have guests? He asked cautiously. Mino feels his insides tense. His two worlds have just collided at the threshold. The world of quiet games and children's pajamas, and the world of folders, deliveries, and harsh conversations. Yes, Mino says dryly. He takes the folder from Taehyung's hands. Wait here. He goes to the console in the hallway, quickly skims through the documents and signs them. All his movements are sharp, abrupt. He wants Taehyung to leave as quickly as possible. It's okay, you can go, Mino says, handing him the folder back. Taehyung takes the folder. He nods, but his eyes involuntarily glance back into the hallway, where complete silence now emanates. The children have hidden. Okay, boss, until next time, Taehyung says and leaves. Mino closes the door. He leans his back against it and closes his eyes. He hears quiet footsteps. Kai is standing at the end of the hallway. He looks at Mino. His face is serious. Who is this? Kai asks quietly. Just work, Mino says. His voice is rougher than he intended. He straightens up. Nothing important. Go play. 2 hours pass. Mino realizes he can't just leave this situation. Taehyung saw. Now he might be telling others. In his world, rumors spread quickly. He needs a cover story, something simple and plausible. He picks up the phone. He calls Taehyung. Boss? Taehyung, about today. Have you seen the kids? There's a pause. Yes, boss. These are the kids of a distant relative of mine, from the mainland. They're in a difficult situation. Their parents are in trouble. They'll be staying with me for a while. A few weeks, maybe a month. Mino speaks in a flat, businesslike tone, as if reporting a deal. Understood, boss, Taehyung replies. His voice is neutral. Don't tell anyone. Exactly, it's a private matter. It doesn't concern work, but if anyone else sees them or asks, here's the story. Understood? Absolutely. Don't worry. Mino hangs up. He feels awkward. He hates lies. But the truth, that he'd picked up 2 abandoned children in an empty house, would have sounded even more implausible and raised a million questions. This lie about relatives was safer for everyone. That evening at dinner, Leo asks, That uncle, he's not coming anymore? No, says Mino. He's not coming. He was just a delivery guy. He calls Taehyung a delivery guy to diminish his importance in the children's eyes. Kai looks down at his plate. He doesn't ask any questions. But Mino sees that Kai understands more than he's letting on. The next morning, Yoon arrives. He brings new things. Children's books, paints, albums. While Mino checks the boxes, Yoon stands nearby. His gaze falls on Kaya and Leo, trying to put a puzzle together in the living room. After he leaves, the words ordinary life remain in Mino's head. What is ordinary life for a 4-year-old? Kindergarten, sandbox, slides, screams, laughter. His home is a quiet bastion. There is no screaming here. There's no laughter, except for Leo's rare smile. The fresh air seems sharp to them. They squint in the daylight. Mino leads them to a small park nearby. There's a playground there. The playground is noisy. Several children are running, sliding down the slide, swinging on the swings. Mothers and nannies are sitting on benches. Kai and Leo stop at the edge of the playground. They hold each other. Their eyes are wide. They watch this commotion as if it were something strange and a little scary. Do you want to go on the swings? Mino asks. They silently shake their heads. Maybe we should just sit? He leads them to an empty bench off to the side. They sit on either side of him, very close. Leo is almost pressed against his arm. They do not take their eyes off the children playing. 10 minutes pass, 15. They just sit and watch. None of the other children come near them. They look too withdrawn. Suddenly, a ball from a group of boys rolls straight to their bench. It stops at Kai's feet. An older boy runs up to get the ball. He looks at Kai and Leo, at Mino. Are you new? He asks good-naturedly. Kai is silent, clutching the edge of the bench with his fingers. Yes, we are, Mino answers for him. Want to play? The boy points at his friends. Kai quickly shakes his head. Leo hides his face behind Mino's sleeve. The boy shrugs, takes the ball, and runs off. Mino looks at Kai. He sees more than just fear in his eyes. He sees desire. A quick, fleeting glimmer of interest that quickly fades, smothered by caution. Okay, that's enough for today, Mino says. Let's go home. They walk back. The children walk beside him, not a step behind. They are back in their safe shell. The walk wasn't a breakthrough, but they got out. They saw other children, and most importantly, they returned back to their new home. This, too, is part of the routine. That evening, after their bath, Mino sits with them in the living room. He drinks tea. The children drink warm milk. A soft music program plays on the TV. Mino looks at Kai. The boy sits, clutching his mug with both hands. He stares off into space. Kai, Mino says quietly. Kai looks up at him. Were you scared on the playground today? Kai nods slowly. But was it a little interesting too? A pause, then another nod, barely noticeable. It was good of you to just sit there. It will be easier next time. Kai looks down at his mug. The silence stretches. Leo is already starting to nod off, leaning against the pillow. And then Kai speaks. His voice is quiet, but very clear in the quiet room. Our mother also once said that we were going for a walk. Mino freezes. He doesn't move, afraid to frighten the moment. She said, pick up your toys, we're going out. We did. Then she dressed us. Then she left. Kai takes a sip of milk, as if it were hard work. Gone? Mino asks, very carefully. She said, wait here, I'll be back soon. She closed the door. We waited. At first we played, then it got dark. Then, you came. He says this without emotion, just a statement of facts. But each word falls into the silence of the room like a stone. And Daddy? Mino asks, barely audible. Kai shrugs. He's been gone. For a long time. Mino looks at this little 4-year-old boy who talks about how his mother left and never came back, in the same flat tone he uses to talk about the weather. This is not childish naivety. This is something broken. This is the very freezing that Dr. Kim talked about. Were you scared to wait? Mino asks. Kai nods. He doesn't speak anymore. Leo is already asleep, eavesdropping on the conversation. Mino wants to say something comforting. Something like, everything will be okay, or you're safe now. But the words feel empty and false after such a story. Instead, he says, thank you for telling me. Kai looks at him. There are no tears in his eyes, only a deep, genuine weariness. He sets the empty mug on the table. Time for bed, Mino says. He walks Kai to their room and tucks him in. Then he carefully picks up the sleeping Leo and carries him too. He covers them with blankets, adjusts the pillows. He stands in the doorway and looks at them. Now he knows. It wasn't just abandonment. It was betrayal in the most terrible way. They gave them hope for a walk and then disappeared. And they waited, in the empty, cold house, until he came. His decision no longer seems like a temporary measure. Now it's a duty, a quiet and heavy one. He leaves the room and quietly closes the door. Something in his heart has shifted, locked into place. There is no turning back. In the morning, Mino calls Yoon into his office. He waits until the children go into the living room to watch cartoons, and then closes the door. Yoon stands in front of the desk, awaiting instructions. His face, as always, is expressionless. New assignment, Mino says. He speaks quietly, although the house is empty. Very quiet. Age, 4 years old. The place where I found them was the empty house next door at 42 Parkovea. That's all there is. Appearance? Yoon asks. Black skin. One is a little taller, serious. The other is smaller, with dimples when he smiles. But he almost never smiles. Yoon memorizes. Time frame? A week. No more. Work through reliable contacts, using middlemen. No direct contact with us. If there's even the slightest hint of interest from problematic individuals, retreat immediately. Information is the goal. No contacts. Understood. This will be done absolutely cleanly. Mino looks at him. This is more important than any delivery, Yoon. Failure is unacceptable. Understanding flickers in Yoon's eyes. He nods again, more significantly. I'll personally oversee everything. Report back in a week. After he leaves, Mino sits in his office. He's just set in motion a mechanism that could change everything. If relatives, good or bad, are found, his little world will end. But not looking was even more dangerous. He needs to know where the threat lies. He's not just sheltering children anymore. He's protecting them. And the first step in protection is reconnaissance. Life is gradually taking on new contours. Mino's rigid schedule has completely dissolved, replaced by a different, childlike routine. It's 7 o'clock in the morning, waking up. Not because of the alarm, but because Leo starts to toss and turn. Used to think all cartoons were the same. Now he can distinguish the theme tunes and knows the names of the main characters. He sits with them, sometimes checking his email, sometimes just watching them watch. Leo sometimes laughs, a quiet chirping sound. Kai watches attentively, analytically. Then there's classes. Paint, Play-Doh, construction toys. The living room floor is always covered with a carpet of toys, which Mino methodically cleans up before dinner. He's learned not to resent the mess. It's just a byproduct of life. After lunch, it's nap time. The kids aren't always asleep, but they lie in their beds, looking at books. Mino, meanwhile, tries to catch up on work on his phone and laptop. His conversations have become quieter and shorter. In the evening, after dinner and a bath, it's story time. Mino sits on the chair between their beds. He reads slowly, running his finger along the lines. Sometimes Leo asks to see a picture. Sometimes Kai asks the meaning of a word. What does valley mean? And Mino explains. Then he turns off the light. Good night, Kai. Good night, Leo. And now they both, in unison, quietly answer, Good night, Mino. He leaves, leaving the door ajar. He washes the dishes, puts away the toys, gets out his clothes for tomorrow. His life consists of small, repetitive actions. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, reading. It lacks the former dynamism and adrenaline. But there is predictability. There is a quiet satisfaction when he sees Leo finish all the porridge. Or when Kai, without being reminded, puts away his paints. He's become a light sleeper. Now he's awakened not by the ringing phone, but by a rustling sound from the nursery or a quiet sob. He gets up, adjusts the blanket, gets some water, and returns to his bed. His world has narrowed to the size of this house, but has deepened to the silent questions in the two boys' eyes. This is no longer a temporary shelter. It has become their shared life. One afternoon, while the kids were working on a puzzle, Mino received a text message on his phone. Not from Yoon. The number was familiar but unwanted. The message was short. Tomorrow, 5 p.m. Old Sawmill. Discuss the future. Be there. K? Mino reads these words, and a chill runs down his spine. K is Khan, his former partner, now more of a competitor, controlling other districts. Their relationship has long since devolved into a fragile, distrustful truce. Meetings are rare and always involve either conflict or an attempt to divide things up. Discuss the future is a poor formulation. It's either an ultimatum or an offer you can't refuse. The old world, the one left behind the threshold, makes itself known, sharply and rudely. Mino looks at Kaya and Leo. They're sitting on the floor, intently picking up pieces of an animal puzzle. They know nothing about sawmills, about Cain, about the future that needs to be discussed at 5 o'clock in the evening in a deserted place. Mino has a choice. Not going would be a sign of weakness, a sign of fear. And in his old world, fear attracts trouble like a magnet. Can might decide Mino is out of the game and try to take over his affairs. This would lead to a conflict that could spill over into this house. Going would mean plunging back into that atmosphere of tense conversations, veiled threats, and cold calculations. It would mean leaving the children alone for a few hours, knowing he might not return. He couldn't take them with him. It was unthinkable. That evening, while putting them to bed, Mino says, Tomorrow I have to go away for a while on business. You'll stay with Aunt Kim. Dr. Kim has agreed to babysit for a couple of hours for a large reward. Will you come back? Leo asks immediately, without hesitation. His eyes grow wide and anxious. Of course I'll be back, Mino says, his voice firmer than he feels. Quickly! You won't even get to watch all the cartoons. Kai doesn't ask anything. He simply looks at Mino, and in his gaze, one can read the same thing Leo's does. Fear of repetition. Fear that the one who cares for him will leave and never come back. I promise, Mino says, and the word feels strange and heavy to him. He hasn't promised much in life. I will always come back. That's the rule. Leo seems calmed by these words. Kai nods slowly, taking the rule into account. The next morning, Mino gets ready. He takes a dark, formal suit from the closet, one he hasn't worn for weeks. He hangs it up and irons it. Then he goes to the safe, hidden behind a painting in the office. He does all this silently, with a stony face. He becomes the Mino he was a month ago again. Cold, focused, dangerous. This role now comes with difficulty. Like tight, uncomfortable shoes, he looks in the mirror, adjusting his tie. Laughter can be heard from behind the door. Dr. Kim is saying something to the children in the kitchen. The sound of it is jarring. It doesn't fit with what he's about to do. He takes a deep breath, exhales. His face becomes an impenetrable mask. He leaves the office, he pats Leo on the head, and nods goodbye to Kai. Listen to your aunt, I'll be back soon. He leaves the house. He gets into his car. The key turns in the ignition with a dry click. He drives to the meeting, and with every kilometer, his old life pulls him back like dark water. But now he has an anchor. 2 quiet boys and a promise he intends to keep, no matter the cost. Mino stands in front of the mirror in his bedroom. He tightens his tie. The black silk glides through his fingers. The movements practiced, automatic. The suit fits perfectly, but feels like foreign, heavy skin against his body. The fabric creaks as he moves, a reminder of other days, other meetings. Laughter comes from behind the door. It's Dr. Kim, playing a game with the children in the living room. Leo laughs his quiet, joyful chuckle. Kai says something, his voice calm and confident. These sounds, laughter, voices, a peaceful hum, penetrate the wood of the door and crash against the silence of the bedroom. Mino's hand freezes on his tie. He doesn't want to leave. The thought seems childish, but it's real. He physically doesn't want to leave this house. It's warm here, light, and there are these two who have become his starting point. There, at the sawmill, there will be cold concrete, mistrust, and conversations that smell of steel and dust. He looks at his reflection. The man in the suit looks serious and dangerous. But his eyes betray fatigue, not from lack of sleep, but from something else, from separation. He is split in two. Part of him is already here, with Kai and Leo. He takes a deep breath and adjusts his cuffs. He has to go, so that the laughter behind the door will continue, so that they can have a tomorrow. Sometimes, to protect the quiet world, you have to step out into the loud, harsh one. He turns away from the mirror, picks up his car keys and phone from the table. He doesn't look toward the living room as he walks down the hallway. He simply says in a flat voice, addressing the space, "I'm leaving. I'll be back for dinner." "Okay," Dr. Kim's voice echoes. The children don't respond. Perhaps they're simply nodding, focused on their game. Perhaps they're watching him go. He doesn't turn around to check. The door closes behind him, with a dull click. The old sawmill on the outskirts of town has been out of business for years. The buildings are dilapidated, and the air smells of damp wood, mold, and rust. Mino arrives promptly at 5. His car seems out of place among the ruins. Can is already here. He's standing under a shed where logs were once stored. 2 of his men are next to him. They're not hiding, but their postures suggest they're ready for anything. Khan is a man of about 50, with graying hair at his temples and a piercing, appraising gaze. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "Mino," says Khan, "we haven't seen each other in a while. You look well. Are you rested?" The hint is clear. Everyone knows Mino has retreated into the shadows, appearing less frequently at work. "Khan?" Mino nods neutrally. "Tell me what we need to discuss about the future." They bypass the empty formalities. Khan offers him a big deal. It involves controlling new flows of goods through the port. It's a large-scale, lucrative undertaking, but dirty, very dirty. It will require constant presence, negotiations with dangerous people, and control over a large crew. The risks will be high every day, every minute. While Khan speaks, Mino listens. He evaluates the numbers, mentally analyzes the logistics, identifies weaknesses. His brain, honed over the years, automatically analyzes the diagram, and simultaneously, over these thoughts, another image emerges. Not the port, not the containers, not the people. He sees the living room. He sees himself sitting on the floor, helping Leo put together a puzzle. He hears Kai's question about why the giraffe has a long neck. He feels time flowing slowly, following a childish routine. This big deal will destroy it all. It will demand all his time, all his energy. He'll be leaving early and coming home late again. He'll skip dinners, skip bedtime stories. He'll bring tension into the house, the invisible dirt from the streets. He'll be a target. And where he's a target, those around him can become targets too, even if no one knows they exist. The stress, the danger, the constant wariness, all of it will hang in the air at home like a poisonous gas. Children who were just beginning to come alive will withdraw again, sensing his anxiety. The big deal isn't an opportunity, it's the end. The end of the quiet life he'd unexpectedly begun to build. Khan finishes his presentation. He looks at Mino, waiting for an answer. His gaze is confident. He believes the offer is too good to refuse. "So, partner," Khan says, "together we can control this entire sector. Your people, my channels." "Perfect," Mino exhales slowly. He looks not at Khan, but somewhere beyond his shoulder, at the rusty beams under the canopy. No, he says. His voice is quiet, but clear in the silence of the sawmill. What? Khan doesn't understand. I said no, not interested. Complete silence falls. Even the wind, rustling in the broken windows, seems to die down. Khan's men exchange glances. Refusing such an offer isn't just refusing money. It's a signal of weakness, of quitting, or something even more incomprehensible. Khan stops smiling. His face becomes stony. Explain, he demands. One word, full of cold interest. I have other priorities now, Mino says, returning his gaze to Khan. Stable, calm affairs suit me. I don't get involved in this kind of stuff. Too much noise. Noise? Khan chuckles silently. Mino, you and I grew up in noise. It's our element. My element has changed, Mino retorts. He doesn't want to say more. Every word can be used against him. A tense silence descends again, thick and heavy this time. Khan studies him like an unfamiliar exhibit. He searches for weakness, fear, greed, the usual motives. But he sees only a resolute refusal. This confuses him. Have you thought it all through? Khan asks one last time, giving him a chance to reconsider. Yes, Mino replies. I've thought it all through. Khan nods slowly, repeatedly. He takes a cigarette and lights it. The smoke curls in the chill air. You know, I've heard some rumors, he says casually, blowing out a smoke ring. Mino remains silent, mentally bracing himself. They say you've become a homebody, that you have family circumstances. Mino's heart sinks, but his face doesn't move a muscle. Rumors are like smoke, he replies. It's a warning, transparent and deadly. Khan makes it clear to him. I know, or at least I can guess. And this knowledge is leverage, a threat. A cold danger envelops Mino from head to toe. It's not fear for himself. It's a chilling dread for the two boys waiting for him at home, for trusting Leo, for Sirius Kai. The thought that someone's dirty hand might reach out to them, to put pressure on him, evokes a primal, blind rage in him. But rage must be kept inside, behind 7 locks. Everyone has their weaknesses, Khan, Mino says, and his voice is quieter, but harder than steel. Smart people know that some weaknesses are better left untouched, because then they stop being weaknesses. They become a reason. The reason for everything. He pauses, looking Khan straight in the eyes. And I, as you know, when there is a reason, I become a very, very inconvenient person. For everyone, this is no longer a defense. It is a counterattack, a quiet but unmistakable message. Touch mine and I will tear down everything you hold dear, even if it is the last thing I do. Khan holds his gaze. The two predators are sizing each other up. A flicker of reassessment flashes in Khan's eyes. He saw Mino as a weakened competitor. Now he sees something else. A man who has found not a weakness, but a new point of defense. And he defends it with utter, cold determination. I see, Khan finally says, turning away and throwing away his cigarette. Too bad. It was a good deal. But if you're not in the game, I'm in my game, Mino concludes. And everything suits me. There's nothing more to say. Mino nods goodbye, turns, and walks to his car. He feels the 3 men's eyes on his back. He doesn't quicken his pace. He walks evenly, calmly, demonstrating complete control. He gets into the car, starts the engine, and drives away without looking back. Only when the sawmill is out of sight does he allow himself to grip the steering wheel so tightly that his knuckles turn white. The chill inside him lingers. The warning has been received. The game has changed. He drives home, keeping within the speed limit. His mind races, analyzing threats and planning his next steps. He needs to tighten home security, maybe change his car. Discuss the situation with Yoon, the people in the know. Every decision imprints itself on his mind like a mission plan. But when he turns onto his street and sees the lights in the windows of his house, something inside softens. They're waiting for him there, not out of long-term commitment, not out of fear. They're simply waiting because he said he'd return. He parks the car and turns off the engine. He sits in silence for a few seconds, shaking off the mask, dust, and chill of the sawmill. He breathes deeply, trying to leave the tension behind. He opens the door to the house. Warm air, smelling of food and baby shampoo, envelops him. Mino! Leo's joyful cry immediately rings out. He kicks off his shoes and goes into the living room. Dr. Kim is gathering her things, smiling. You've been wonderful, she says. Thank you. Mino nods, paying. As soon as the door closes behind her, Leo runs up to Mino and hugs his legs, pressing his cheek against the fabric of his pants. Kai is standing a few steps away. He doesn't run, but his face brightens, and you can see the weight of anticipation lifting from it. "You're back," Kai says simply, as if stating the most important fact in the world. "You promised," Mino says. His voice is hoarse. He bends down and picks Leo up in his arms. The boy wraps his arms tightly around his neck. Mino reaches out his other hand to Kai. Kai, after a moment of hesitation, comes over and allows himself to be hugged by the shoulders. The three of them stand like this in the middle of the living room. Mino feels the warmth of their small bodies, Leo's trusting weight on one arm, Kai's light but firm touch on the other. He closes his eyes and holds them close. In this strong, silent embrace, there is no fear, no past, no sawmill, no threats. There is only the present. Warmth, trust, return. At that moment, all doubts, all internal debates disappear. The choice made at the sawmill ceases to be a tactical decision. It becomes a truth, absorbed by every cell. He cannot and does not want to return to his old life. These two boys are not an accident, not a temporary obligation. They are his now, his weakness and his strength, his Achilles' heel and his main reason. He lets them go, but holds them by the shoulders, squatting down to be at their level. "It's okay," he says, looking alternately at Kaya, then at Leo. "Everything will be fine." He doesn't know how he'll ensure it. He only knows that he will, at any cost. He will protect this quiet light in their eyes as he's never protected any of his territory, because territory is concrete and asphalt. And this is something living, fragile, and infinitely important. "I'm hungry," Leo declares, and the ordinariness of this statement seems like the most beautiful thing Mino has heard all day. "Let's go get dinner," Mino says, leading them into the kitchen, one hand holding Leo's, the other on Kai's shoulder. The door to the past has closed, forever. Now there is only one future ahead, theirs together, and he will make it safe.